individuating is another piece of a personal sanctuary, recognizing that I'm not responsible. I'm only responsible for my behavior. I'm not responsible for my partner's feelings, how they react to my behavior, just my behavior. So I'm myself, I'm not her, or I'm not him. I'm not responsible for their pain, their patterns. I'm only responsible for my behavior within my pain and my patterns. Boundaries. Boundaries are really critical. I need to know where my boundaries are. What are my deal breakers in a relationship? What are the deal breakers? You know, infidelity, lying, deception. What are my deal breakers? You know, and they could be different for everybody, but that having clarity and being able to speak those boundaries, being able to say, this doesn't work for me. This is not working for me. Something needs to change.
And boundaries can be even more subtle than just what are the deal breakers. They can be boundaries like, how do I want you to approach me? How do I want you to talk to me? What tone of voice would I like you to talk to me in? How much notice do I need if you're gonna leave or be late or something like that? So boundaries can, you know, be little things as well as the big deal breakers.
Yeah, I would put those more in the category of requests. So they could be boundaries if they're starting to impinge on core values. But that would be more like, you know, I've been late 3 days in a row for our meeting. You say, listen, would you be willing to either show up on time or call me if you're not going to be there on time, or give me a heads up, or whatever you're, as a request. And the person can always say, no, no, I won't do that, but I'll do this.
Right.
Then you negotiate. And then if you get to a point where I'm not doing it, then you can say, this isn't working for me.
Then the boundary comes in.
Then the boundary comes in, yeah. Something that can come up for couples is when one person's triggered and unraveling that trigger. So for example, if I'm triggered, one of the things I'll look at is, did my partner do anything, did my partner break any agreements? Because we have clear agreements, so did she break an agreement? So if she did not break, I'll look clearly. If she did not break an agreement, even if I'm really angry, it's my responsibility. I have to look in the mirror, like the guy I'm gonna see, and say, you know what? This is just my trigger, it's not about her. It's part of individuating too. This is my stuff. So I have to handle this on my own. Now on the other hand, if my partner did break an agreement, that's a different scenario. So that's going to be more complicated, because not only did my partner break an agreement, but I also have my shadow to navigate within that dynamic. So if my partner broke an agreement, there's the issue of the agreement that was broken, and then there's the issue of my shadow that I have to work with within that. Now it may be a deal breaker. It may be an agreement that was broken that was a core value or a deal breaker, and I just say, this isn't working for me, I'm ending the relationship. Or it may be something that we can work with. That oftentimes will require professional help, or it takes a lot of skill to sort of unpack that. The Hawaiians call that hihia, which is untangling a fishnet, where we're enmeshed with each other, and we're both individuated. It helps. We're both accountable. You know, my partner can say, yes, I broke an agreement, or I can say, yes, I said I was going to do that and I didn't, and I'm sorry. And my partner will still have their shadow to navigate around my broken agreement. So those are two different things.
And there's another Hawaiian word about peeling.
Oh, yes, and then the other thing is called hihia, which is to peel back. So we're looking under the surface of the pilikia, or the disharmony, to see what's at the core. You know, that's also part of loving between the lines, reading the air, things like that.
So it's very much about awareness, self-awareness of
Exactly.
what's going on inside of you, and awareness of what's happening in the relationship dynamic.
And what's appropriate in terms of our clear agreements. Just because I'm angry doesn't mean anybody did anything wrong. I could just be angry, and then it's my stuff, and I have to handle it. So all these things are parts of the personal sanctuary. You know, there's accountability, clear agreements, self-soothing, core values, all these things, you know, responding versus reacting, all those things. On top of that, we have a relationship sanctuary. So in my personal sanctuary, my job is to take care of myself, to live with integrity, to self-soothe, to self-confront, and to take radical ownership of my quality of life. I take personal responsibility of my quality of life. If my life's not working, I'm the one that has to deal with it. I'm the one that's responsible.
So
Nobody
no
else.
blame.
No blame.
No blame.
No blame.
It's his fault that I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah.
miserable.
If
Or
he
it's her
just-
fault that I'm
If
so
she was
miserable.
just not, if she would just be different, everything would be fine. You know, no. If my quality of life is ruined, it's my responsibility. That's called radical ownership.
Mm-hmm.
That's the personal sanctuary. Now, on top of that, there's a relationship sanctuary. And in a relationship sanctuary, my job is to make sure my partner is to watch her back and to increase her quality of life, or if it was a man, his quality of life. Once I've done my work, I have a strong personal sanctuary. My job is to improve my partner's quality of life.
How do you do that? Because I've worked with a lot of couples who one partner is trying to like improve the quality of life for their partner, but their partner actually resents it because it's not what they want, it's what the other person wants, right? Like, I'm trying to make your quality of life better the way I think your life should be better.
Right.
So talk about
then
that.
you're not in the relationship sanctuary. Then you're
Okay.
still in your personal
So
sanctuary.
in
You're
the
projecting, yeah.
Yeah, so in the relationship sanctuary, you're very clear about what sort of quality of life improvements they want.
It's their sovereignty, yeah. I mean, I
you're
might-
helping them
right.
with their desire instead
Yeah.
of projecting your desire on them.
My partner might think, wiggling my shoulders is really sexy. I think it's stupid. But if I want her to be with me and that's what she needs, I'll wiggle my shoulders. I don't care, But if or maybe she wants flowers. I don't need flowers, but she needs flowers. So that's recognition of sovereignty, and then that's watching her back.
Okay.
It's also about kindly giving feedback, kindly, because I don't want to enable somebody. If I'm just giving them what they think they want without talking about their shadow at all, that's not serving them. I don't want to enable them. So I want to give them feedback, but in a way that's very kind and very sensitive and not about blaming. So I'm supporting them in their growth. I may encourage them to stretch into their shadow. I may really listen to them and really hear what they need to feel loved, their love language, so to speak, and then do that. I have my personal sanctuary. I know what I am, but now I can afford to stretch and reach out. I can do whatever it takes to make their life as good as I possibly can. And then also reading the air, loving between the lines. I may know that she's upset, so I may do something differently. She doesn't have to say it. I'll read it, oh, she's upset, or I'll ask, honey, can I do anything, are you okay? Do you know anything I can do? I know you're in a bad mood. Do we need to talk about something? Are there any withholds? Whatever, And I don't have to be like collapsing, like, oh, honey, did I do something wrong? It's not about that. I can just leave an opening for her to share or not share, and then read what's going on and respond accordingly. So that's a relationship sanctuary. Without a strong personal sanctuary, you're just going to enable each other.
Be codependent. It'll just be
Right.
wild codependency.
And without a relationship sanctuary, you're not taking care of the relationship.
Right. It's
You're
just
not-
like
you're
two
not
people
two-
doing it on their own.
Yeah, you're just kind
under
of,
the
yeah,
same roof.
exactly. So, within a relationship sanctuary, I believe a relationship is a garden, and it takes two gardeners to make it work. Or if it's a poly relationship, maybe it's a triad, maybe there's three gardeners to make it work. But if all the gardeners aren't putting in their energy, the garden will not work. And in a monogamous relationships, it takes two people to create it, but only one person to end it. And always it only takes one person to change a relationship. A relationship is a system that people create together. And if one person changes, the whole relationship changes. If my script changes, the dynamic of the relationship will change. So if we think of a relationship as a garden, that's what the relationship sanctuary is. And the more we put into it, the more we do our personal sanctuary work, the more we build the relationship sanctuary, the more we're going to get from that garden. But if we sling crap, we break agreements, we don't self-confront, we don't self-soothe, we don't watch our partner's back, our garden is going to be destroyed.
So all those things are like the water and the sunshine and the fertilizer and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the seeds and the tending and the fence around it.
Exactly, and betrayal is, salt in the earth. Betrayal is salt in the earth of our garden. And, you know, and contempt or scorn, like that's scorched earth. That'll destroy the garden. When you see that contempt, like eye rolling, what an idiot, what a bitch, right? What an asshole, right?
Contempt meaning
Contempt.
I'm better than you and I'm judging you for being less than.
When that shows up in a relationship, this is from John Gottman's work, but when that shows up in a relationship, that's bad news. So if we find ourselves in that scornful place with our partner, we better take a good long look at ourselves and see if we like the person we're being, and are we creating the garden that we want with our partner. One of the things that I do quite a bit that I found really helpful in my life is something called Shenpa. And I'm probably not transmitting this information well, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. So Shenpa is a Tibetan word, and it describes the stickiness of our thoughts. And so when I'm triggered about something makes me angry, I will react, and then so if I'm angry about something, oftentimes then I'll think about something else that makes me angry, and then something else that makes me angry. And pretty soon I'm down this rabbit hole of personal aggression and adrenaline and just sort of low quality of life. I'm just
And none of it's
angry.
real, right?
No, it's all created in my head, right?
Yeah.
It's all stuff in the past, right? So Shenpa is that thing that once I have the initial thought that gets me spinning. It's the stickiness of that thought. And there's this sort of perverse good feeling of thinking all the things that have been wronged, all the ways I've been wronged in my life, you know, and it's so unfair. And it's just like those jerks, and, you know, I'm going to get back at them or whatever. That's the Shenpa part, right? So Shenpa is the stickiness. So the practice of being aware of Shenpa is, so for me, when I have a thought and I find myself triggered, again, the adrenaline is the canary in the coal mine. Oh, it's adrenaline, and it's Shenpa. What the practice is to drop in and to treat that emotion, that anger, or whatever it is, frustration, sadness, as just a physical sensation. Value neutral, right? Totally value neutral. No, it doesn't mean anything. It's just the sensation, and track that in my body. And if I track that sensation in my body as a meditation, oftentimes the practice of that will unravel, and I won't spin out on other thoughts. And I can really experience myself as an emotional creature with physiological responses. And it's a somatic awareness to those sensations in my body.
So
And
let's go through some
really
somatic
works.
tracking. Like, let's
So,
go through a situation of using Shenpa and somatic tracking to like stop the spinning.
Okay, so I'm thinking of a situation now that really triggered me when I was a young man, okay? That is really stuck in me. So I'm thinking about that. So I'll experience it, I'll say, okay, I'm triggered, and I'll go back and I'll think the thought again, right? I'll put myself in that situation. And then what I'll do is I'll just notice the sensation. So right now I'm noticing my esophagus is tightening, and I'm feeling a tension around my collarbone, and it's kind of hot and tingly and unpleasant, but I'm just staying with that sensation. And as I stay present with that sensation, it begins to soften just a bit. Now it's a little tighter just above. And now my attention's on the tightness above my collarbone. And now I'm just staying with that sensation, and it begins to relax. And it's just like that. It's feeling a little less warm. It's feeling more relaxed. Like that.
So instead of the mental spinning, you're getting out of your head,
And
out
I'm
of
not
the
in my
story,
story, right, exactly.
out of the past and out of the future, which is the spinning in the story, and you're getting right into the present, which
Right.
is the sensation, the non-judgmental sensation in your body.
Right, the value neutral. So there's no story. It's just tension here. And yeah, this happened a long time ago. But this is the story. Rather than being in my head and spinning, rather than indulging in the Shenpa, I just go, the only story is physical sensations that have no relevant necessary meaning. They're just there.
And in Shenpa, don't they teach that like sensations don't really last longer than 90 seconds?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? And so then you notice the impermanence of the
Right.
sensation, and the sensations don't stay the same. And so then you realize, like, even if you are in agony for whatever reason, that is going to change over time, and it's not going to stay the
Exactly.
same.
Right, and it's like the old story about the good wolf and the bad wolf. Which wolf do you feed, right? You know, I feed the wolf of awareness rather than feeding the wolf of my story.
And so using the Shampa practice can actually be a form of self-soothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I never thought of that, but that's definitely true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only it's a little different than self-soothing. And the intention is not to soothe, but it ends up being that way.
Right.
The intention is more
Self-awareness.
What's
and
real?
being in the moment.
what's happening. Yeah.
Being in reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is soothing because then what gets our adrenal response up is the spinning and the past and the future and the
story, right.
And once we can let go of that, that's automatic. And so the objective isn't self-soothing, but that's definitely the result.
Absolutely. So I want to thank you for this discussion. It was great to be able to lay this material out, and I've been thinking about this for years. My partner Jody and I have been working on this together for over a year, and I'm really happy. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being so generous with your information, and thank you for being so generous with your examples. Can you tell us where we can find out more about what you offer and what you do?
Yeah, our website is called sacredriversoflove.com, sacredriversoflove.com, and my partner and I teach gender communication, what we call emotional integrity, and sacred sexuality.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.